Welcome to the Echo Driving School video channel. Today we're going to be doing the Mitcham test route. This is one of the test routes that is quite difficult. We're going to be talking about the independent driving, what signs to follow and what should you do. We're going to start off by moving off, and this is the Mitcham test route that we're coming out of. It's not a hard test route, but you've got to bear in mind that there is a lot of industrial buildings on the left and right, so you have to be careful when you come out of the test centre. It is a 10 miles an hour maximum speed limit. The examiner will ask you to turn right at the end of the road or left, depending on which route he's taking. We're going to be turning right today, so I'm checking my mirrors and then giving a right signal. Now start off by positioning yourself to the right. Now the traffic that we're joining is going to be at 30 miles an hour, but on the left hand side the traffic that is moving is going from a 40 miles an hour zone to a 30 miles an hour. So you've got to be careful, and you've got to make sure that it is clear on both sides before you enter the road. I'm just going to edge forward gently and see if someone would let me go. So someone's just let me go. I'm going to check on both sides. So that side's clear, that side's clear, and then I'm going to move off. Check my center mirror as I've moved off and make my speed the same as the road traffic, which is about 30 miles an hour here. So here, I'm just going to travel along, looking at any hazards coming from the left or right, and the traffic light is green, so I'm going to make progress. Check my mirrors again, and then moving along. Now over here, the examiner might say that he's going to start the independent driving from here. The way he can say this, he could say something like, from here the independent driving will start. I would like you to follow the signs for Croydon. So the first thing to do is look out for the sign. Now you might not see the sign straight away, so do not panic. Just continue driving and look out for the signs. So the sign's quite further away. We're approaching the Lombard roundabout, and he wants me, or the examiner, he or she, wants me to follow the sign for Croydon. So I'm driving along at the speed limit, which is 30 miles an hour. There's no hazards in front of me and the road is clear, so therefore I'm going to make my progress. As I'm going along, I can see a sign at a distance. I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up just as far as I can see it, but if you look on your left hand side and you'll see a big sign coming up, you will see the sign for Croydon, where it says Lombard roundabout, the sign for Croydon. It's the third exit, so I need to be on the left hand side because the road is third exit, follow the road ahead. If I said the word right, then it would have been in the right hand lane. So I'm not going to give a signal to do this roundabout, because I'm going ahead and my positioning on my vehicle will be a signal in its own right. So I'm just going to look at the right hand side and make sure that there is no cars coming on the right, because I need to give way to any cars that are coming on the right hand side. The highway code rule about roundabouts. When I see a chance, I will take the chance. Until then, I'm holding it at the biting point and then checking and making my progress. The first exit I've just gone past the second exit, so I'm going to check my mirrors and give a left signal. The examiner said follow the signs for Croydon, which was third exit, so I'm just following the sign. Checking my mirrors to make sure there's no one behind me and making progress because of 30 mile speed limit. The light ahead is green light, so I'm going to check my mirrors and cover my brakes. There could be a pedestrian or any other hazards that one sees. Checking my mirrors again, and over here the examiner will say, I would like you to now follow the sign for South Norwood. This is where it gets a little bit complicated on this route, because the sign for South Norwood is along with other signs. It's not just South Norwood, one sign, and I will again read out what the signs you'll see. On the left hand side you will see a signpost coming up. It will say ahead is Sutton and South Croydon. On the left it will say West Croydon, Addiscombe and South Croydon. So we want to obviously turn to South Norwood. So South Norwood it will say, sorry, not South Croydon, South Norwood. So I've checked my mirrors and I'm going to take the actual turn now. So it's a left at the traffic lights and I'm going to make my progress. The examiner will say, continue following the sign for South Norwood. So again, I'm going to look out for signs. If I don't see any, I'm going to assume that I'm following the road ahead. I can see I'm coming up to a traffic light. It's red, so I'm checking my mirrors early and putting it into the appropriate gear to match my road speed. Again, I can't see the speed sign, but I can see street lights, so I'm going to assume that it's a 30-mile zone. Just coming to a gentle stop because it's traffic light, making sure I keep my tyres and tarmac distance, and I'm using my handbrake now to make sure that the car does not roll back. I know that the road is on a hill, so I'm making sure that the car is secured, and one of the key things to remember here is that your car must not roll back. You will get a driver fault if your car rolls back, so make sure that when the lights go green, which it just has now, you gas and you hold the car at the biting point. You release your clutch gently, give a little bit more gas than more than normal so that you can match the hill. Now ahead I can see some signs. It says South Norwood A213 ahead. This is one of those roads that's known as a staggered junction. So what you need to do is you need to slightly steer to the left and then steer to the right to follow the road ahead. Again, on a hill, so using my handbrake, giving it some gas, and it's best to do it in first gear because there could be people crossing the road, just like this woman. So I had to react, but I looked further ahead to see what was happening. So I looked at my mirrors and changed gears again. The examiner is still saying follow the signs for South Norwood. Now this is quite an easy one because you can see big sign saying Selhurst, South Norwood A213. So it's just ahead on the left hand side. So I'm checking my mirrors and giving a left signal. Again, checking my left mirror to see if there is any cyclist and then taking the turn. It's quite a gradual turn, so if you need to change gears to second, then you can do. It's not a problem. At a roundabout here, the examiner will say, that's the end of the independent driving. Can you please drive on? From now, I will direct you. He can get you to pull up here on the left, just to see how well you pull up. So check your mirrors, center and left, give a left signal, and then pull up on the left. Let the car roll so you can come up 1 or 2 bays and make sure you're reasonably close to the curb. Once the car stops, he'll say to you, move off when you're ready. So do all your checks. So check your center mirror, your right mirror, and do your blind spot check. Give a right signal, move off if it's safe to do so. You're going to come and do some meeting because there's a few cars coming towards us, and you've got to think to yourself, well, can I fit through that space? If the answer is no, then hold back in the hold back position and look out for a safe gap when it's safe to go. So check your right mirror and then move off. Drive roughly a meter from both sides and look out for any oncoming cars and where you could pull up if you need to. There is a zebra crossing ahead, so check your mirrors and you will give way to oncoming pedestrians or so forth. When it's safe, and make sure they've crossed onto the other side fully and then move off. We're coming up to the traffic light. This is where the independent driving is now finished, so the examiner could say to you, turn left, go ahead, or turn right. What I want to do is turn left, and that's the Thornton Heath sign if it is another independent driving, because remember, nothing is set in stone. The examiner could add new routes that obviously we don't know of because they don't publish the routes anymore. So at the traffic lights you're going to turn left. So again, start with your center mirror, left mirror, and then give a left signal so that people know, drivers know where you're turning. Again, it's good to keep a good distance from the car in front. Tires and tarmac is the recommended minimum depending on the size of the vehicle in front of you. So for example, if you've got a bus, then obviously tires and tarmac might seem a little close, so give it more distance if it is a bigger vehicle. So we're just waiting here. You could be planning that is there a cyclist, is there motorcyclists in between the cars, weaving in and out. The traffic goes to green, you check your mirror, make sure you start with your center and then go to your left mirror because that's where you're turning. And then check your left mirror again just before the turn and wait until your car is straight, check your mirror, and if need be, cancel your signal if it hasn't already cancelled. If the road is free, make sure you are making progress. One of the key faults is maybe learners drive a bit too slow for the road condition. So as you can see ahead, there's not much happening, so I'm driving at 30 miles an hour. I have no reason whatsoever to drive anything less than 30. So checking my mirrors to make sure that nobody is opening the door. I can see a bus in front of me that's just signaled, so I've checked my mirrors. I've reduced my speed, so therefore I've changed my gears as well. And I've checked on the right if anybody is overtaking me. Remember, I haven't got my L plates on, so obviously a lot of people won't think that this is a learner car, but when they see a learner car, they might just want to overtake you, so always something good to bear in mind. So I'm keeping a good distance from the car in front. I know I have priority here, so the bus can wait for me, so I'm moving ahead. Now in front of the bus I can't see anything, so I'm going to keep a slightly further distance so that I can plan the traffic to the right. So I'm just overtaking the bus. Notice how I haven't actually signaled here because I'm still within my side. I haven't actually crossed. Car's just pulled out, so I'm going to have to change gears. Check my mirrors again. Now I'm climbing an uphill, so I'm going to go just above 20 and changing it to third gear now. I can't see anything ahead because I'm on the brow of the hill. As I go down, I'll cover my brakes to reflect the change of road speed because of the downhill gradient. The road's slightly bending to the left, so I'm just checking my left mirror, checking to my left again. Now we're coming up to a roundabout. At the roundabout, the examiner could ask left or right. Here, I want you to turn left at the traffic light at the roundabout. So I'm going to give a left signal. I'm going to drop it to second gear. There's no one coming on my right, and then I'm going to move into the road. There's just a bus just pulled up in front of me, so I'm keeping it a good distance. It's always a good idea to drive a bit more to the right because there could be parked cars. So I'm just coming up to a pedestrian crossing. As you can see, a woman's just crossing. So I'm going to wait until both of the pedestrians have made it all the way to the other side. Remember, it's one full crossing, not two, it's one crossing. So I've got more pedestrians. This is the Thornton Heath High Street. I'm going to wait for oncoming cars and the bus to go, keeping a good distance. Both of these buses want to have a chit chat, I think. Now, keeping junctions clear where possible. It allows the flow of cars without there being any issues. So always, where possible, don't wait for roads to be written, keep clear. If you can let another car pass, then by all means do so. It's more defensive driving, courteous, and people will be quite happy to take that gap. So we're just driving along again through Thornton Heath High Street. There's a lot happening here. Remember, any high street, it is going to be busy. You need to look out for anybody coming out of the car, maybe a car pulling out on the left that hasn't signaled. As you can see, like the hazard perception CD, this man just comes up the car. So I need to be reflecting my speed. You wouldn't be expected to travel at 30 miles an hour on a road like this. So bear that in mind. Just moving along, checking my mirrors again. Now over here I've got a chance to overtake, or maybe not, because the car's just come out. So I'm going to hold my ground, but I've positioned my car on the right, left of centre, so that I can actually overtake the bus when it's safe to do so. I've given a signal here because I'm overtaking the bus all the way round. Now over here the examiner might say follow the road round to the left. You've got to make sure you maintain the left lane, you keep going round, and you look at your right mirror to join onto the middle of the road. Ahead you've got Thornton Heath Station. It's always busy here, so there's always pedestrians coming, and here we are. There is a pedestrian just here, but I was looking out for him. I can see him crossing. Soon as I see him go, I'm looking to my right and there's nobody else coming. Now ahead, the examiner might say, at the roundabout, turn right. The road markings are very faint here, so do look out for the sign and tell people where you intend to turn. It's best to do this roundabout in first gear and approach with caution, because there is a zebra crossing soon as you enter the road and there could be pedestrians crossing. So take it very cautiously as and when you do this. Keep moving along on the road. You've got more meeting situation to do, so wherever you see a car coming towards you, think, do you have enough space to actually overtake the vehicle or not? The rest of the stuff that are just small roads that you don't really need to take note of, because you can go on any small road. So we're going to conclude over here. That was one of the routes from the Mitcham test centre, where you went through the Croydon roundabout, which is the Lombard roundabout. You took a left onto Sumner Road, following the signs for South Norwood. Once you got to the South Norwood sign, that was the end of your independent driving. So thank you very much, and thanks for watching this video produced on behalf of Echo Driving School. Thank you.